let's wrap up with the last game. I thought Everton might do better here, but in the end have lost 3-0 to Manchester United.
That goal would knock the stuffing out of anybody.
Yeah, but it still only counts for one.
But it's the manner of it. It's the manner of it. You go there with all that expectation. We're going to tell everyone the Premier League's corrupt. We've got our pink flyers. Strange seeing Goodison look anything other than blue at certain stages of the game. They're right up for it. They want to make noise. And the first time the opposition comes forward, this geezer scores one of the best goals you've ever seen in your life. That is staggering. If you dreamed of scoring an overhead kick as a kid, that's how you dream it.
Yeah.
That is a madness.
They went on to have 24 shots, mate. XG is decent for them in the end. It's nearly
this is a repetitive
2.5.
theme of a lot of Everton.
A lot of people keep asking, Everton the unluckiest team in the league, maybe. In terms of, are they the new Brighton? They're not the new Brighton from a style of football, like mate. But in terms of XG versus actual goals, are they falling into this trap of where they're so far behind? Look, and they've ended up, obviously, second half, Manchester United have extended it.
What was their XG in the game? Was it over 2,
2.47,
What was the first half XG?
I will tell you, James. 1.43.
Yeah.
And 1 in the second half. Whereas Manchester United's XG in the first half, James, considering Garnacho's Superman.
Did it have an XG?
I don't know
if
his
what Garnacho's was.
I will find out for you.
Must have broke XG. Must have broke it.
Well, their total XG was 0.09 in the first half.
Yeah, Garnacho's. It's not even a 0.01 Garnacho's.
Go into, if I click on Garnacho in SofaScore, sometimes it shows.
But he had another effort in the game in the second half, so I wouldn't do that.
Okay, sometimes it shows you shot map. Here we go. That shot, James, had an XG of 0.08. So it made up the bulk of...
Who's providing XG for SofaScore? Get out of your life.
0.08.
Get out of your life.
He had 8% chance of scoring that. When he leapt in the air.
Stop it.
8% chance of scoring, mate.
Stop it. That's absurd. It's not even 0.01. He has to walk backwards to get the ball as well. It's not even standing still. He's literally walking away from goal to go and get it. It's
Garnacho.
That is certainly in debate for greatest Premier League goal of all time. It's definitely up there. That's a madness. It was one of them where you get the involuntary noises. If you're a neutral, you're watching that. Maybe even if you weren't a neutral, you go, whoa. Like it was one for the Gary Neville. Ooh, it needed it. What a goal. He's cheap in FPL, by the way. He's 4.7, so he's another one you could put in that bracket if he's going to play regularly enough, which would be questionable on Højlund's return and Anthony's. I think probably more Anthony's, probably an impact of that. For Everton, they had to score in the big period they had at the end of the first half. Calvert-Lewin, Decore, a few others really guilty. United weren't at it. For the second half of the first half, United just were not at it at all. And they got away with that period of the game. So Everton will play worse and get points this season. And and obviously on COTCs tomorrow, we talk about, Everton, the fact that quite clearly, although I think most of us still think they'll get out of it, quite clearly they're obviously in the battle. Of course they are. They're on 4 points at the moment, and they may get a couple of them back. And what's the only important thing for me for Everton over the coming months will be keeping their players fit. Keep the players fit, they'll get enough results, in my opinion. For United, great result. They were the form team in the league. They finally beat someone by more than a goal. And although we could say, there was a period where they were a little bit lucky in the end of the first half, let's be honest, we've just said with Arsenal, you go to these places, you win, you leave. And a lot of people thought United would get turned over this weekend, right? I think we both did, Suj. So they've come out there with a really good result. Clean sheet, perhaps a little bit fortuitous to get it. But they've taken their moments really well. I think the penalty is questionable, by the way. I think sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. Although I wouldn't have called it a dive either. The third goal's really good. Martial's like Morpay against you. He only seems to score against Everton as well. It's one of them records. Shout out for Kobe Mino, who was United's best player by a long, long way. And I do think this is a key thing for United because I've been screaming nearly every week on this pod about the problems they have when they get attacked centrally. He's a young boy. There's a lot of pressure on him, but he moves around the pitch very gracefully. He's calm on the ball. He can tackle clearly as well. He looks mature beyond his years, and I think he may well stay in the team for United, and I think it would be a big, big positive for them if he did so. Is he going to play every game? He's an 18-year-old boy. But the fact he's been picked for this, when they knew the hostile environment he'd be walking into, you're going to have to deal with some direct balls coming into you and things like that. Yeah, he was calm as. So he's obviously jumped ahead of Amrabat, I would say, in the pecking order. Ten Hag's obviously looked at him and gone, I don't fancy you. And Casemiro, we think, is going to be out till January or so. So this lad's probably going to play quite a bit. And I don't think in the short term, but I think in the long term, he might solve what Ten Hag wants. And I think Ten Hag wants to play 4-1-4-1. And he would be the one between the two fours. And that's a big, to play that, you've got to be a bit like Declan Rice. I'm not comparing that in terms of quality, but he's an 18-year-old boy who might be United's best option at the moment. He was really, really good, Suj. And Harry Maguire, I know people don't want to hear it, was very good again. But would I invest in Manchester United for FPL? Not going to Newcastle this weekend, no thank you.
They've won quite a few games, but then recently you're looking back at who they beat, right? And it's Sheffield United,
You've still got to beat them. You've still got to beat
Luton, Everton. You do still got to beat them, and they have, but they've kind of been going along. 3-0
So I
is
think
a better
what
margin.
What have we played? 13 games.
Yes,
They've played. I think if you look, Suj, at the table as it stands at the moment, they've played 9 of the bottom 10. So far. They've won 8 and lost to Palace. They've played 4 teams in the top half, lost all 4.
Right. They've lost 5 games in total. So the other
So they've still not played from the top half. They've obviously lost to City. They've not played Arsenal. They've not played. Have they played Arsenal? Yes, no. They lost at the Emirates. They lost at the Emirates. They lost to City. They haven't played Liverpool.
Villa's coming up, isn't
Villa they've got over New Year's, I think. They lost at Tottenham. They lost at home to Brighton. They haven't played you yet. They haven't played Newcastle yet. They haven't played Chelsea yet.
Yeah, so now it's going to get quite a bit tougher for them.
Let's see. What I would say is, if you show consistency of beating the shit in this league, I always think if you beat the bottom 10, home and away, what's that, 60 points?
Yeah.
You're in contention for top 4.
Yeah.
If you just beat the shit. If you could do that, now obviously they've lost at home to Palace, but if you could win all those games, that in itself puts you on 60 points, probably gets you near European qualification. Then from the Champions League, you only need to win another 4 or 5 games.
It is funny because I did look at the table after the weekend and we're on 20 points. We got Palace at home. We could beat Palace. That puts us up to 23 points. Newcastle on 23. They've got Man United at the weekend. You're on 26. You've got Man City. So we're 3 points behind you. Considering the start of the season you've had and the start of the season we've had, to be only 3 points behind you doesn't make logical sense in my head.
Or you could flip it another way and go, Tottenham have lost 3 in a row and they're still on 2 points per game.
Yeah.
So you can, and it will almost definitely be 4 in a row, by the way.
Ultimately, it's as tight as it's been for a while, particularly title race and even below that. It can all shuffle around in a few weeks. The teams that we thought would be in the top half are in the top half, just not necessarily in that order is what I would say. And there's a
long way to go.
Around.
We're basically a third through this, right? It was a very, very long way to go. I mean, some of us, like, I know Villa fans want to be part of the conversation. Don't even look at the league table. If you want Champions League football, just keep sticking. You keep your head above 2 points per game, you'll get there, right? My team's going to dip below that. That's obvious, right? Because we're not winning at City at the weekend. So we'll dip below that, and we're gonna drop behind one of Newcastle, Manchester United, almost definitely, right? Because they're playing each other. I presume my guess is that would be Newcastle, by the way. But there's certain teams up there at the moment that won't have the pressure, I think, of the league table in the way United will have pressure. I think Manchester United do. Newcastle do a little bit. The top 3 do. I think Villa, Tottenham. There's not so much pressure on the league table at the moment.